Hi, I'm Melinda Alexander, the creator and host of Own Your Power, Lead Your Way, a summit designed to empower leaders to break free from overfunctioning, stop living on autopilot, and create a life where next level success and true fulfillment coexist. I'm so excited to welcome Susanne Madsen today. Welcome. Welcome,
Thank you
Susanne.
so much. Thank you.
Suzanne Madsen is a globally recognized executive coach and leadership expert with 30 years of experience helping high-level professionals lead with clarity and impact. She's worked with top organizations like JP Morgan, Lego, and Philips, guiding leaders through pressure, complexity, and global team dynamics. She's an award-winning author and speaker. Suzanne's work blends emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and purpose-driven leadership. Her latest book, How to Do the Inner Work, was praised by Tara Brach as brimming with inspiration and powerful tools. I'm so excited to have you here today, and I am really looking forward to hearing all about your work. Susanne, just briefly tell us about yourself and how did you get into doing this work? Tell a little bit about your life and, what brought you here today?
Yeah, I had a real turnaround, actually. I had a real aha moment, which shifted my career completely. I started many years ago as a manager in corporations. I was running big projects and big programs. And maybe the audience can already hear how that lends itself to overworking and exhaustion. And I'm sure we'll get into that. But there was a pivotal moment because I was running this big program. I worked for an investment bank at the time. And I just really felt I had to do it all, know it all. And I did feel really exhausted. And at the same time, I think maybe it was a blessing, definitely a blessing, that I wasn't aware of really until afterwards, was that I was invited to attend a leadership program. And as part of that program, we were coached. And this is the first time that coaching is introduced to me. And this is probably about 10 years into my professional career. This was in
Wow.
2008, actually. And what's so interesting is that maybe some listeners will remember the week that the Lehman Brothers went bust. It was in 2008, September. That was the week I went on this leadership program. I don't know, I just remember it so clearly. Not that it's not particularly related, but I did work in investment banking. So it was like everything was shaking. But what happened was that I was coached, and I came to this coaching session saying, help, I'm exhausted. What shall I do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure that I expected
A real
something from
answer.
a coaching session. But within the space of an hour, I had completely shifted and I had a complete aha moment. And I'm not exaggerating. What happened was, and I must say that this was not even with a professional coach. We
Oh,
were paired up, and I was paired up with a gold trader. And we were given this
wow.
sheet to ask each other questions about the topic we had chosen. And my topic was, I'm exhausted. What shall I do? And so he was following, like, okay, he did use his own intuition a bit, but he was more or less following some open questions. And something magical happened. I realized through his questions that it was my own thinking that was holding me back. I realized that, oh my God, if I change my thinking, if I, for instance, allow myself to go home at 5 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'll be free. I can go home at 5 p.m. It's only myself holding myself back. And I don't know, but it was just such a revelation. It was like this freedom opened up. I'm like, it's all in my head. Not, if I changed my programming, I wouldn't have called it programming back then. But today I would
Right.
say, change my programming or my limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
I can do anything. And so I walked away from that coaching session feeling empowered
Mm-hmm.
and really being curious about coaching. And I can't remember exactly what I did, but I must have gone home and Googled coaching because
Yeah.
within 2 months, I was attending a weekend program. And before the end of that weekend, I paid £5,000 to do the
Wow.
whole coaching certification. And I
Wow.
remember that I thought, I think I've been brainwashed, but it feels really good.
So fascinating, right? But that was the key. That was the key or the catalyst to what you're doing now. Can you tell me a little bit more about your personal story in regards to how you discovered that and your inspiration that brought you here today.
Yeah, so I think because we're talking about, and for the audience, about this over functioning and extending ourselves and giving too much and really failing to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first, maybe I just want to share a bit about how that happened to me, because I really felt that there was a lot of pressure on my own shoulders. And
Mhm.
today I teach people and talk about the different patterns that are underlying the reasons why we end up overfunctioning, the reasons why we end up exhausting ourselves. And for me, some of the patterns that I recognized and maybe I will never truly get rid of, but I'm aware of them today, so I can cut them off, is a bit of perfectionism,
Mhm.
bit of wanting to be in control, a lot about this being a high achiever. So it drives us to wanting to achieve more. I remember I was running this project, and whenever we had a team member missing, so I don't have a technical background, I was running big technical projects. And I remember at some point we had the architect for one of the technical systems, that we didn't have an overarching architect. And I tried to fill the role as an architect, completely silly. I don't have a technical expertise. And that's sometimes when we are trying too hard to do something, it's completely not sustainable to get back to that word. It's completely not sustainable. And it just leads to burnout.
Yeah, we're trying to
And
be everything for everyone, and that's impossible. And fill every role. I know I've done that in my life as well.
but also it is not only is it not sustainable for me, it also is disempowering for the team.
Mhm.
So many managers, they think they're doing the right thing. They want to be that safe pair of hands.
Mhm.
But actually, you are taking away from the team by not empowering the team. And that's a whole other conversation. How do we begin to empower people?
Yes.
But end of the story is that I felt exhausted. And
Mhm.
I actually, this was just around the time when I went on the leadership program. So I was building up this awareness. I signed up to do all the coaching in parallel with doing my work. And I was still exhausted.
Mhm.
And I found the courage to ask for a sabbatical. But because it was 2000, this was end of 2008, beginning of 2009, the financial crisis started. And I was worried about going away for too long because
Mhm.
I was going to make myself redundant,
Right.
go away for too long and they don't need you. So,
Mhm.
but I did go to India for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I came back quite, I think, chilled.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things not everybody can take a sabbatical,
Mhm.
but we do need something to break our circuit. We do need something that interrupts our pattern, something that
Yes.
interrupts our thinking, something that interrupts our usual way of showing up. But
Mhm.
what's interesting is I then went on to eventually leave my full-time corporate role, set up as an independent coach, leadership facilitator, and I started traveling extensively to run training programs, to speak, sometimes about stress management, sometimes about these topics. But what was I doing?
Right.
I was aware and I
Mhm.
noticed the signs. And my excuse was, yeah, but most mornings I can kind of wake up without an alarm because I didn't have early meetings.
Mhm.
But inside, I still had this go, 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 drive,
Mhm.
must not fail.
Mhm.
Um, my diary was overbooked. So one of the most stressful things was trying to fit in a new client engagement. And oh my God, then I would travel from London to Barcelona and straight from Barcelona to Venice,
Mhm.
in order to not have to go back to London. The whole thing became a puzzle. And it only changed when the pandemic came about and most stuff became online. And so this last period has been a real new opportunity for me to feel again to shift again, because I now can see that that was also stress.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
need some stress. I'm not saying we don't need stress, but it's all about, was it sustainable? No, I was still en route for burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's hard because we are so wired to achieve, and we can get into all of this. We're wired to, I mean, I was worried back in the days when I was a project manager, I was worried I was going to be fired if I didn't deliver this project,
Mm-hmm.
because the project managers before me had been fired. And I'm not exaggerating.
Right. Oh, no, it's a practical fear. It's a practical fear. And I'm sure many of our audience can relate to everything that you're saying and how we drive ourselves. Goals are
Mm,
set. Yes, goals are set, and we are also driven towards those goals. But then we get wired. Those patterns get really deeply ingrained, maybe even from childhood to today. I mean, that we are ingrained to do things right, to reach those goals, to be perfect, to find our value externally outside of ourselves, and just to work. And I'm very goal oriented and very driven. And sometimes it's silly, it's I'll catch it when I'm going to send some emails, right? And then I'm like, I'm going to finish this, but it's getting late and I need to just shut my computer down and finish it tomorrow. It's no one's going to die, but you push yourself just that one more email, just that one more thing until you're exhausted. So I'm hearing that in your story, and I'm hearing that the self-awareness was starting to surface. And tell us a little bit more about how you started to repattern that for yourself.
Well, I was lucky because I embarked on this long coaching journey. And when you train to become a coach, part of it is coaching yourself and being coached by others. And it's all about awareness.
Mhm.
But in actual fact, I think because I've been coaching solidly for the last 15 years and running leadership programs, I see these patterns. And what they do say is, if you really want to master something, you've got to teach others. And
Mhm.
no, coaching is not teaching, but my leadership programs is a lot of teaching.
Mhm.
And so I learn a lot when I coach others. I learn a lot when I observe others. And
Yes.
one of the patterns that isn't true for me, but I see being true for many other people, is the helper pattern. So it's this really often, I think, and I have to be careful because obviously we're all different, but sometimes if people lack a lot of confidence, or they feel they really want to serve others or help others or fulfill other people's needs, and they really suppress their own needs,
Mhm.
they often end up in this wanting to please others, and they worry that they're not going to be good enough, and they worry they're going to be rejected,
Mhm.
um, or not liked if they say no, or if they set boundaries. And that's also definitely um, can lead us very quickly into burnout. So how did I begin to shift my patterns? Out of need.
Mm. Out of absolute need. Yes.
Need
Yes, I
because my
bet.
body
Mhm.
began to give me signals. This was back in 2008. I had an inflamed foot. I couldn't walk. I had IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. I couldn't, all sorts of things. So that was what.
The body does, and I think that's a significant point right now. I just want to make sure that lands with the audience, is that the body does give us signs. Maybe it's headaches, maybe it's that exhaustion, maybe it's just a lack of willpower anymore. You just don't have the heart for it. These are signs. Our body is it doesn't have to be, they start out subtle, don't they, before they get louder. And we don't want to wind up with health issues.
Yeah, we normalize it. Oh, it's normal. It's normal to be tired. Oh, it's normal
Mhm.
to have a bit of a headache. It's normal to get cold. Everybody gets cold and flu. We absolutely normalize it. I have like a slide with all the different types of symptoms, and I ask people just to note what symptoms they have. Do they overeat? Do they undereat? Do they drink too much, too little? Do they,
Mhm.
whatever? Um, so
Really
we,
valid though. Those little things of how we're starting to self-sacrifice to meet those goals. To
and
people
when I
please.
ask
We don't even
people,
go
sorry,
ahead.
I interrupted.
No, that's fine. Please go ahead. Yes.
When I ask people, they all know what their signs are. They
Yeah.
all know. And they also know what they need.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say, I just need to do sport, or I just need to play my guitar. People know what they need, but the head is overruling the body and the heart, and they don't listen to it.
So let's go right there, because that's a key piece. You know, you're doing this to yourself. Like I said, I know I'm overworking. I need to stop, and I'm not stopping. So there's the pattern. How do we break that pattern, and how do we move into a healthier pattern? It is really just shifting, isn't it? From one to another, but we have to create a new habit, correct? A new choice.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about that, because that really is, you know better and you're not doing it. Why? And then how do we move forward? How do we unlock that?
Well, first I work with a person in understanding how this pattern is serving them, because our patterns are serving us. If we stick with this helper pattern, in which way is the helper pattern suppressing your own needs and tending to others' needs? How is that serving you? Well, it's not serving me. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, by making you popular, or by making sure that you stay in your job, or
Mm-hmm.
you go to person, or you get a pay rise, or something like that. Okay, so there's a reason why I've been doing it. Let's not make it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Then we begin to project ourselves in the future. I do this with a client. So ideally, let's imagine 3 years from now or 1 year from now, it's all changed the way you would like it to be. How does that look?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I can set boundaries. I can say no. I'm good at self-care. It comes automatic. I can express my needs. Okay, great. So we have today and we have the future.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first step?
What is the
Because
first step?
Rome was not built in a day, and people make this mistake that they try to make too many changes too quickly. It's like wanting to go to the gym. I've never exercised in my life, and now I want to go every day, 5 days a week. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the first step? The first step could be that there is one conversation I need to have, maybe with my spouse at home. Maybe I need help,
Mm-hmm.
maybe with my boss,
Mm-hmm.
maybe with myself,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe I get a massage. It could be anything,
Right.
but the person will always know what it is. Maybe it is starting to go for a walk during lunch,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
1 day a week. That could be the first step. And then, because we have regular coaching sessions, I meet with them again. And initially, I am the external accountability. They know they're going to meet me, and they know I'm going to ask them, how did it go on Tuesday? Did you go for that walk during
Yeah.
your lunch break?
Yeah.
Did. Okay, great. What's the next step? And if they didn't, we'll talk about what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Too ambitious a goal, what sabotaged them, what happened. So
Mm-hmm.
we will do it step by step. That's how we change behavior. Is the Japanese call it the kaizen, yeah? Little gradual improvements.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's work to rest. If I finish this goal, then I'll rest. And that is like, that's the direct path to burnout. I'm like, if I do this, then I'll rest. Then I'll eat. That's an old pattern for me that I recognize in this conversation. A kind of a deal maker, right? If I do this, then I get a reward. But instead of take a pause and recognize the body signs, the fatigue that's coming on, and just like, I'm going to get up from the desk and take a 5-minute break. Yeah, just something like that. Simple, right? Simple, but profound.
And what's the common denominator? It is taking time out to notice.
To
You
notice.
mentioned before creating the self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't, and if our clients don't, and if the listeners don't have a moment,
Mm-hmm.
some point during the day, during the week, where we can check in with ourselves, just notice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that felt good. I just took a breath, with that. I could feel my body, you know, everyone just inhale and exhale. Notice, what do I need right now? What is
yeah.
needed? Yeah.
And we are all pressed for time.
Mm-hmm.
And the good news is that this doesn't have to take long. A mindful breath. Ah, looking out and admiring the sky.
Yes.
Just belong.
Yes.
That's the beginning. Because when we do that pattern interruption and we
Mhm.
get off that autopilot. When we're on autopilot, we can numb ourselves. We
Mhm.
just go, 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 or whatever the pattern is.
Yeah.
And so we need something that takes us out of it
Mhm.
and just a short pause. And I will always ask people, what works well for you? One person will say, I always go for a coffee or a tea in the afternoon.
Mhm.
I still think about work, but that would be a good time to link another habit with it.
Mhm.
As you're making your coffee or your tea, could you do that mindfully?
Mhm.
Could you sit down and just take a mindful sip? So we like to layer things and habits on top of something we're already doing because it becomes much easier to break a pattern or to layer a new habit onto it. You know, in
That's
the
real.
book,
That is really juicy right there. I want to just highlight that for everyone. It slowing down, taking a breath, choosing a new pattern, and adding another pattern, and then adding on to it. We can add on for a well-being. Kind of like hitchhikers, right? Like, hey, the car's going down the road. This is really working for me. I'm taking my break. And now we add on that mindful sip of tea,
mm,
changing our gaze to what's out the window versus what's on the computer screen. Just a second added on. I love that. Tell me about your book. I know you were about to talk about that. I'd love to hear more.
so you kindly mentioned it in the introduction. In the book, I mention at some point, because this is about removing our limiting beliefs, and it really speaks to what we're doing right now, doing the inner work of finding the patterns, not just having a strategy, but actually
Yeah.
getting to the root of it. But in the book, I write that we all have these limiting beliefs. And wouldn't it be lovely if we could just unplug and plug something else in? We could download a whole new belief system.
Mhm.
Thing is, that's not the goal because it's not realistic.
Mhm.
If I lack confidence for some reason, because I've had people tell me my whole life that I was useless, and unfortunately, I do coach people who have been told that. It's heartbreaking, but it happens.
Mhm.
Or it could be any other limiting belief that's a lot less strong.
Mhm.
We probably will never get rid of that complete belief, but we can learn to recognize it. So when it comes up, we can learn to not listen to it. We recognize that it's a record playing. Ah, it's that
Mhm.
tune again, telling me that I'm going to fail, telling me that I don't deserve this. I recognize you and I'm able to question you today. It's okay, you can be there, but I don't have to listen to you.
That's
And
right.
again, that comes with the awareness, with the pause, with that ability. When we sit and sip that cup of tea,
Mhm. Mhm.
we can recognize that there's a record that's just been playing again about I'm not good enough, or I need to prove myself, or I need more, 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 because that's another reason why we keep overworking, because we keep feeling we need that promotion, because my neighbor got that promotion, and I want that promotion because I don't want to miss out, and that's part of my identity, and that makes me feel good, and the whole validation. But when I take a step back and when I pause, I can begin to recognize it, and
Mhm.
just recognize it as a first step.
I heard two things there. I heard taking that pause so you can notice separating yourself. I'm having a cup of tea and I can see that record playing. All right, little record. I'm going to have my presence and cup of tea now. I can really feel that what you just said. I'm going to take that in. I think the audience can take that in. Just really internalize those pieces of wisdom. So, just as a segue, in your work right now, you've highlighted a lot of things that you're excited about and some practical wisdom and takeaways. Was there something else that you wanted to leave the audience with today? Some really valuable strategy that they can use for themselves that we haven't covered, or maybe that's a summation of what we have covered.
Yes, I think I probably as a summary, would say to people, you can work at different levels. So there's a short term, if you feel overwhelmed right now, there's a midterm, middle term, and there's a longer term action plan. And if you feel you're drowning at the moment, if you're overwhelmed, if you feel you're not sure what to do, you need a short-term strategy. And the short-term strategy is to just pause and show self-compassion. It's okay. Recognize how you're feeling. It's okay. Pause, and regulate your nervous system right this moment. And that could be as simple as breathing slowly, doing something nice for yourself. Because in that moment, you don't need more stress. You need to just downregulate your nervous system. So that's the short term. What to do looks different for each person, but it's a real short-term oxygen mask. With the oxygen.
But make a choice. Pause and make it and ask yourself, what do I need right now? Is what I'm hearing. Yeah.
There's no point talking about longer term strategies if you have not put that oxygen mask on. Because you can't think straight. Your brain is literally in fight or flight or freeze or fawn. So that's why it's so important to put that oxygen mask on. Calming down actually is, regulating yourself, feeling a bit better. When you feel a bit better, I took a sabbatical. I did many things that made me feel better. Then you'll begin to see connections you couldn't see before because you're less overwhelmed. So the medium term, there's many strategies, but the one I'll mention is do something that brings you energy. Do something you love doing outside of work. If you love playing the guitar, play the guitar. If you love going for walks, go for walks. If you love going to church and praying, go to church and pray. If you love being with friends, be with friends. If you love watching comedy, watch comedy. Just do something that brings you joy.
Absolutely.
You have to take 3 days. It can be half an hour.
Could be half an hour. Could be the smallest thing.
I had a friend and she kept going in the same record. Asked her, what do you want to do more? No, there's nothing I'm passionate. There's nothing. When you were a teenager, what did you love doing? Oh, I love playing tennis. Okay. Now she started playing tennis and she's so much happier for it. Because when we are happy doing something we love, it just energizes everything and the world looks a lot brighter. Once you have that and you begin to do that consistently, then only then can you do the deeper work of looking at what are my underlying patterns that are sabotaging me. Before then, you will have no energy. You'll be too overwhelmed. Don't try to do it because you are on the verge of breaking down I remember I used to come home on a Friday night and just cry, not just because I was exhausted. So there's no point beginning to change your whole life when you're exhausted. You need these steps. But at the last step, when you're beginning to feel more resourced, have more energy, you can begin to seek help, maybe from a professional or reading some self-help books or psychology books. What are those patterns? How can you begin to recognize them and take small steps to change them?
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Susanne. And my whole being just takes a breath when I think about that, and that we can actually give ourselves permission to take care of ourselves. And I believe, this, we're speaking to leaders, we're speaking to the high achievers in our audience. And, this is being self-led. This is being self-led. Use Susanne's tips of pausing to just tune in with yourself so that you can make those choices for yourself. What do I need right now? What do I need right now? And to pause and take that deep breath. That's what I'm getting right here is, I can honor myself. I can honor myself in this moment. And then choose. Yeah. Does that sound like a good summation of at least how I received that?
Absolutely. And I just again want to re-emphasize, it doesn't have to take much time. So don't use time as an excuse. And if you have real difficulties, then get professional help.
Yes.
During the pandemic, I felt overwhelmed. Ironically, because most of my travel had been, for obvious reasons, cancelled, and I had a lot of time, actually it gave me an opportunity to process a lot of stuff that I hadn't been processing. And I
Mhm.
started seeing a psychotherapist again that I'd been seeing 10 years prior. And it was just, she was just holding space for me to feel what needed to be felt and to express what needed to be expressed, because we tend, many of us, to live from our head. And
Mhm.
so seek help if that's what you need.
Mhm.
There's no right or wrong. Just don't keep doing what you've always done, because it will lead to burnout.
That's right. We got to break the pattern. We got to make a different choice. And, I really find it an enriching conversation with you today, Susanne, that really, you've done your work. You've walked this path. You're still doing your work. You're a human, right? We're all on this planet. And I really appreciate the permission and the direction that you've given us all today. I know that our audience completely appreciated everything that you said. It was a nourishing talk, and the vulnerability. Thank you for sharing your story as well, because we're all human, and it's okay to recognize these places in ourselves. But how do we get out of our own way and self-attune so that we can live more truly fulfilling lives? This is the essence. Any
And
final thoughts?
I've shared more in this book, because obviously we all have some struggles, and I had at some point, some during the pandemic, some health concerns, and my mind took me down a rabbit hole. And I'm through the book, I'm also explaining when that happens. The book is not about me, but I use my own
Yep.
story in the introduction to give some context.
Mhm.
There's some real tools in this book about how do we manage our mind so that we don't go off on those tangents that sometimes um, we all can be prone to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And let's talk about, I know you have a free gift for the audience today. Um, we spoke about that, and I'm excited to hear more about it. I know they are too. Let's see how they can connect with you as well.
Yeah. So actually, I've decided that I'll make this book, which is a paperback. I've also recorded it, so it's on Audible with my own voice. But I've decided, because it's so relevant and it's so close to my own heart, and it has all those exercises that will help people to do the inner work and understand their patterns and address them. I'm gonna PDF it up, and that will be given to
So that was
you.
a huge gift, everyone. Suzanne put a lot of her life force energy into creating that book and bringing it and birthing it into this world. And to give you that book for free, please go grab that PDF. The link is going to be below this interview. Just look below, and you can stay connected with Suzanne and her work. Um, as well. Thank you so much for that gift. That's really rich, and I really appreciate that for our audience and for myself.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
wonderful. So, thank you for joining us here today, Suzanne. Thank you for joining us on Own Your Power, Lead Your Way Summit. We will be having Facebook Live. Stay connected with your email, everybody, and you can connect with Suzanne, like I said, at the links below. We may be able to get Suzanne to come back. This is a pre-recorded interview. We'll be scheduling that and do maybe some live interaction with the audience and Q&A on those Facebook Lives, possibly during the summit. We'll see if we can get that scheduled. And if not, if you're connected with us in the Facebook group, you will, maybe we can have some follow-up workshops and things like that to connect you further with Suzanne and her work. And just brilliant work. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing today with us and joining us. It was a pleasure.
And I would like to thank all our listeners. You are in the right place, and you're showing up to yourself just by listening to this. So thank you, everybody.
All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow or on the next call. Thank you so much. Stay tuned.